Welcome to the podcast. Y'all ask, what I'ma talk about with y'all ass? Everything from Nostradamus, Lil Pump, all the way down to Donald Trump. But black issues will be always at the forefront. Hoodies, I know that's just what y'all want. Black life, black love, all of the above. It's King Rashidi hoodies, ice tone gloves. I'm ready, it's Rise, God Team. Rest in peace to the God Queens. Hey.
Testing 1 2 1 2. I'm King Rashidi, and I want to welcome you all back to another dope ass episode of Hoodies the podcast. Cause this is happening now. Blow. All right, man, check it. First things first. Shout out to the Skill Youth Chess Club. It's the mentoring program specifically designed for black boys. If you'd like to make a donation to the Skill Youth Chess Club, you can do so by going to paypal.me/Skill the Barbershop. Or if Cash App works better for you, that's cash.me/$Skill YCC. I probably don't have to do the cash.me part, do I? But anyway, I did. All donations are accepted, of course. However, $20 and better receives a free gift. So I thank you in advance for your donation toward the mentorship of black boys. All right? I thank you in advance, man. Word. Real quick about the Skill Youth Chess Club, man. I decided that for the fourth year commemoration gathering this year, I'm going to put together a documentary. So yeah, I'm doing my own documentary. So I got mad footage, pictures, all kinds of stuff I'm gonna put together and make a documentary. Hopefully I can make it about an hour long, but I'm thinking worst case scenario 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, and then present it to the club, you know, the members and the parents on that day, which will be in November. You know what I'm saying? So wish me luck on that, man. I got my work cut out for me. Real quick, man, before we get into this, shout out to black folk everywhere. And shout out to our elders, man. Listen, I tell young folk all the time, you know, make sure you call up the elders in your family. Every time you see old folks, be kind to old folks. Be kind. You know what I'm saying? Because when you run into old folks, a couple things can happen. You never know. A lot of them just got all this wisdom and so forth. And I'm not going to say they're just dying to get it out, but perhaps they could use a kind word from a youngster. You know what I'm saying? Or who knows? You just might get a nugget of information from them that you didn't have before as a result of talking to them. About history, a life lesson, whatever. Or if you're both lucky, both things might happen. You know, their day will be brightened, and you'll have a nugget of information which will in turn brighten your day. You understand? So respect the elders and converse with them. Talk to the elders. And some people say converse is not a word, but I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But yeah, man. So shout out to our elders and black folk everywhere. And we ready to get this on. Hey, are you codependent? Are you codependent? Codependency. Okay, codependency is an excessive reliance on other people for approval and a sense of identity. Is that you? Are you codependent? Are you waiting on somebody else to bring some happiness in your life? Somebody to bring you some peace? Is that you? Here's another question. Who validates you? Yeah, you heard me. Who validates you? Jesus? Allah? Buddha? Olodumare? How about Hare Krishna? I might have said that wrong, I'm not sure. Who validates you? You know, there's this saying, right? there's this saying. Started back in the 1930s, right? It started back in the 1930s and it was also used in the 19th century. American bars would offer a free lunch to patrons so they could come in and then entice them to drink. And what would happen is they would think that they were getting the lunch for free while they were paying for overpriced drinks. The drinks were overpriced to compensate for the free lunch. So, well, the saying is, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Y'all probably heard that before. There's no such thing as a free lunch, which is just another way of saying you ain't about to get something for nothing out here, or anywhere for that matter. Okay, so now I'm saying that to tie that into happiness and peace, right? Listen, I've come to find out in my ripe old age, right? In my ripe old age, I've come to figure out, and I've come to the realization that happiness is an inside job. I've spoke about happiness before, but now I'm talking about codependency, which is almost the same thing. Let me tie this thing in together, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch because you can't get something for nothing. It's up to you to work on your own happiness, right? It's up to you to work on your own peace. You understand? Because if you're dependent on someone else to make you happy, or someone else to bring you peace, what are you without them? What are you without those people? I may have even been, a matter of fact, I know for a fact that I've been codependent before. I've been codependent. To the point to where, I put so much on that relationship. It's almost as if I relied on that woman to bring me something that I didn't possess myself. I didn't possess it. It wasn't in here and it wasn't in here. So then when she and I broke up, man, I was sick. I was sick. I was sick. It took me a while to recoup from that. I took it pretty hard because I was codependent. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you may have heard this before. I heard Will Smith say this before, and I agree 100%. Happiness and peace is something that both parties, right? It's something that both parties, well, I ain't gonna say should. You gotta work on. It's something you gotta work on individually. You know what I'm saying? It's an inside job, and see, think about the pressure it is for your partner to be, you know what I mean? To be walking around with the daunting task of making you happy, being the source of your happiness. It's got to come from you. Because what will your life be without that individual? I was codependent once, and like I said, I was sick once things was said and done, and I never want to be like that again. And I may have come close since. But codependency, that's not the route, man. That's not the route at all. Listen, if you're relying on Jesus, see, I don't know. It's tricky with religious people, even if it's Allah and Buddha and Olodumare, right? It's pretty heavy because I don't want to venture off into this religious trip. But my thing is, first of all, I beg to differ with y'all's faith. I beg to differ with your faith because every time y'all sit back and say a prayer, you go out and put in the work. You go out and you put in the work for this so-called blessing to happen. Why do you do that? Could it be that even in religion, there's no such thing as a free lunch? Like, okay, yeah. Well, how about this? How about faith without works being dead? I may have asked this before in another podcast, but fuck it. What does it mean to you, faith without works? Faith without works to me says, sure, you're faithful. All right, that's cool. That's nice. But listen, unless you get up off your ass and make things happen, you ain't going nowhere. I don't give a damn how hard you beat that damn tambourine. I don't give a damn how hard you stomp your feet. How much you speak in tongue, fuck about none of that. I don't care how much you cry and dance around that church. It means nothing. It means not a damn thing unless you get up off your ass and make something happen. And it doesn't say faith happens sometimes, or maybe a quarter of the time. It says it's dead, which means it don't amount to a hill of shit. It's nothing. It's dead unless you get up. So sure. Yeah, you can pray for this all you want, but unless you get up and do it, nothing's going to happen. Sounds like somebody saying there's no such thing as a free lunch. Sure, you can come on in and get that free lunch, but you're going to pay more for the drinks. So sure, you can be faithful and have unwavering faith in me. But unless you get up and put in the work, ain't nothing going to happen for you, man. Nothing. Yeah. Same thing for your happiness. You want to be happy? You got to put in the work. Soul search, man. Soul search. Figure out what it is that makes you happy. You'll find it. I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight, but you'll find it. And once you find that happiness, and while you add it some self-love, it doesn't matter if a person comes or goes. Doesn't matter if you lose everything you possess. You good. I mean, granted, you're going to feel away. It's going to be some suffering if you lose everything, because now you've got the daunting task of recouping. So I'm not saying you won't feel anything, in any experience. What I am saying is, if you got you, if you love you, and you at peace with yourself, happy with yourself as a person, it really don't matter who comes or goes. I'm not saying it won't hurt, but at least you'll still have you. So, are you codependent? And if you are, soul search. Recently, I've come to realize that I do care what people think about me. I do care. And I haven't forgot about that other part of it, about validation. I'm going to get back to that. But I realized that I actually give a damn about what people think of me. I thought I was past that, but I'm not completely. However, there are things that remain to be the same. Certain things I don't give a damn what people think, right? But then I've come to realize, like I said, that I actually do. And here's why I'm saying that. Not too long ago, I got a phone call, right? Ring, ring, ring. I was doing some research. I was on Facebook. I looked up your business page, and I see you have an apprentice program. I would like to get down with that. Cool, yeah. I got the I got the apprentice program here. Why don't you come by the shop and we can talk some more? Click. So I get off the phone and I'm thinking to myself, dude sounds white. He sounds white. So he comes through and sure enough, he's white. And I'm saying that because I ain't gonna front. I was conflicted with that. Yeah, I was. You heard me right. I was conflicted with that. I was conflicted because, part of the reason for opening this business, my ex-business partner and I, we opened this business to be a part of the solution. To be a part of the solution and employ our people. Right? So, yeah, I was conflicted when the white boy was like, I'd say his name, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to put him out there like that. So, yeah, I was conflicted when the white dude wanted to come through and be my apprentice. I really was. I was conflicted like, damn, people going to be thinking that, I'm flipping on them. Or just flipping, period. They're going to think that, I don't know. They're going to think that maybe I'm, giving in to the pressures of blending in and which really was not the case. It merely comes down to me just actually giving a damn about what other people think about me. Because at the end of the day, I came to realize that, shit. Number one, business is still black owned. That don't change just because I got a white dude in here. And then it's just one chair. It's just one chair. My passion, my purpose isn't interrupted because there's a white dude in here. And for those of you who don't know, my purpose is to help and inspire my people in the best way I possibly can. Particularly black youth. Everyone, but particularly black youth. But yeah, so I put him on. As of now, he's no longer here. His wife is seriously ill, so he left, and who knows if he'll come back. And I do hope his wife does get well soon, but he's no longer here. And and just like that, I got a new apprentice, a new intern starting tomorrow. That's a different story. But I actually gave a fuck about what people thought because I had a white dude in here. Granted, I was conflicted, but once I started to, I like to put things on scales. You know what I'm saying? See, what weighs, the most. And having him here weighed a whole lot less than the fact that I'm still on task. I'm still on code. The mission is still popping. So at the end of the day, I had to. Well, it was a check for me because it showed that I had realized at that very moment that I still had some growing to do. I knew that, but that was a moment where I was able to really see, like, oh snap, damn, you know what? You give a shit. You give a shit what people think of you. Now, it's one thing to be conflicted yourself, but you give a fuck what people think when you're thinking about what they're gonna think when white people came, when they see the white boy in here. And I know I probably just went off on a tangent. But yeah. So the answer to that question is, who validates you and who validates me? Probably easier said than done, but the person who validates you is you. You validate you. Doesn't matter what nobody else says. I said this once before. I said, happy people are happy because they don't give a damn what other people think. You know why? Because they're too busy off being happy. They're too busy doing happy things. Too happy to be sitting around here worried about the fuck you think. Which, okay, it's hitting me now, which means that I'm not totally happy. I am not totally happy because I still give a fuck about what people think. However, I made it a point to rid myself of that. Of course, before he left. But maybe there's still some more in there. And just waiting for, something to pop off. In order for me to realize it. In fact, I know it is. I know it is. So, as it stands, I mean, as I talk to y'all, I'm talking to myself as well. I still got some growing to do as well. Word. But you validate you. You are responsible for your happiness, and you are responsible for your peace. Word.
She tastes good with some fava beans. Touch the bubble, she don't make a scene. She the drug, no promethazine. Shit, you bad for my self-esteem. Cause the thinking the shit. I know the life stay lit, but when I'm not up in your area in the night, you feel sick. Work is being done here, what I'm done here. With my head still in the zone, I ain't hitting dumb gears. I come dear, queen, come here. I am the water formless. I am the universe, I'm on this. Bless that, bring your backside around there. Pound the boom boom with no fear. Brown skin, pink insides. Cream and blood, pink insides. All but the earth, souls on the fly. Souls on fire. She feel good for the struggle, queen get it. Shit gets ill, you the queen vetted. Back to them fava bean. Baby taste whimsical, brown skin, young and clean. Yeah, the gut is into you. She tastes good like some mathematics. I suck at math, but I keep taking cracks at it. Dig deep, craftmatic. Downstairs and up in the attic. Get it? I'm an addict. You know what that is? I crave it. Bones be jonesing. Add it up, what's X? We chosen. Lounging in our own space, cuddle noogie. Beat the brakes off the box and hoodie. Meditate in the hoodie, takes the box out my footy. Feet and tits side order, reinvent tide water. Black man, black woman, is divine order. The blamer for not mixing divine slaughter.
Hey, let me ask you another question, right? Does it matter if a profound message comes from a fucked up messenger? For me, if I'm talking to a homeless guy, right? I'm talking to a homeless dude, and he's dropping jewels. He's dropping jewels on, choices and things of that nature, and some of his bad choices and young blood. Let me tell you, I can listen to that all day. Because it's obvious this person is coming from a place of experience. So I can listen to that all day. When I listen to certain individuals talk about going hard and, going hard when other people are asleep, you should be up doing your thing. I can listen to that, especially if that individual has results. See, I can listen to that because this person is tried and true as far as I'm concerned. What gets me, right? What gets me, you guessed it, preachers and imams and things of that nature. Because oftentimes people in those positions, right? Oftentimes people in those positions talk about self-discipline. They talk about not being distracted and this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying that those are bad, negative messages. What I am saying is, I ain't trying to hear no shit like that from a drunk preacher. Fuck out my face telling me that I should be good to my woman and this, that, and the third when you got a harem of hoes. You know what I mean? When you got a fucking brothel. When you got different women. Now, don't get me wrong. The message may be profound, yes. I gotta admit, I'm not necessarily trying to hear that shit from someone who's doing the opposite of what they say you should do. That's a problem for me. And perhaps that's another area of growth that I need to grow in. But I'm not trying to hear nothing about discipline or being faithful or being this or that if the person who's telling me isn't that. You know, practicing what you preach is big for me. If you're not living that life, I'm not saying that you're not worthy of someone to talk to, or I'm not saying you're not worthy of giving advice. It's just when it comes to the area that you still need to work on, you may not be in a position to give that advice. Unless, of course, it's like this. Unless, of course, you're talking to others as you're talking to yourself. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I ain't trying to hear nothing about discipline from an undisciplined person. You know? I ain't trying to hear nothing about, you gotta stop letting. Unless, of course, you're talking to yourself as well. Make any sense? So sure, I can take a profound message from someone who's made mistakes and can talk to me, young blood. Listen, this you got to know. Don't make the mistakes I did. See, I went through the world thinking that Asian pussy was like this instead of like that. And in chasing all this pussy, I caught AIDS, or, you know what I mean? I can listen to that. Here's an individual coming from a place of experience, and here's his nugget of information. You know? I don't know if I conveyed that as well as I just think I did. But I touched on it last podcast when I was talking about posers. If it's not working for you yet, have a seat. In fact, have several seats. If it's not working for you yet, if you ain't got it down yet, chill. You feel me? Unless, of course, you're talking to yourself as well. Yeah. What is black privilege? What is black privilege? First, how about we talk about white privilege? You know what I'm saying? How about we talk about white privilege? We all know white privilege is when, say there's a brother and the white dude, right? And the white guy gets a slap on the wrist where our people are getting, like, you know what I'm saying, the book thrown at them, or say, for example, lesser sentences for the same offenses for white folk. It's white privilege. Not racially being profiled. Statistically, we already know that black folk are probably the most racially profiled folks on the planet. White folk don't have to worry about that. White privilege is also being able to maintain a positive image in spite of actions in the media and in history. Well, granted, a lot of that is largely due to the fact that white folk control the narrative, particularly Jewish folk control the narrative. They control the media and so forth. But here's the thing. They're so good at it and have been so effective at it that we buy into it as well as black folk. We buy into that shit. We buy into that, to the whole positive image. Even if we see a white dude or a white woman doing the same thing we see black folk do, we'll think the black version of it is tainted and bad and the white version is right. They've become so good at it, even we've bought into it. And that's facts. Due to white privilege, white folk are less subjected to redlining. What is redlining? In the U.S. and in Canada, all right, Redlining is the systematic denial of various services to residents of specific, often racially associated neighborhoods or communities by raising prices and denial of services like banking or insurance. Like being denied certain insurances because you live in a particular area. Being denied a business loan because you live in a particular area or because your skin is a particular color, right? Now, student loans and things like that, we get that all day. But business loans, not so much. Redlining, from what I understand, began in like the 60s. Redlining is just simply a way to describe the discriminatory practices fencing off black inner city neighborhoods from investments. You know what I'm saying? And there's even been investigative reports saying that, low-income white folk would get, like, say, a loan, or they would lend money more often than middle-class to upper-class black folk. And what I mean by middle-class and upper-class, I mean income-wise. Middle-class and upper-class income-wise, black folks wouldn't get like a loan or whatever in comparison to low-income white people. If that makes any sense whatsoever. That's redlining. That's an example of redlining. I'm sure y'all are familiar with COINTELPRO. Okay, going off the optics test, the optics test tells me that COINTELPRO, which is what it is it's a program, I believe, created by the FBI, maybe J. Edgar Hoover. Not necessarily sure on that. I'll get back to you on that. But the FBI is definitely involved. COINTELPRO is short for the Counterintelligence Program, right? So what I was talking about in terms of the optics test is, it seems pretty clear to me that the Ku Klux Klan hasn't been neutralized. I'm not necessarily sure if Skinheads, white supremacist organization, is still in effect, but I'm sure there's some variation of it somewhere. Like I said, the optics test, it doesn't seem to me that the counterintelligence program has neutralized them or dismantled them. So it's safe to say that that's also white privilege as well. Because we've had the Black Panther Party for self-defense. They were neutralized. We have the Nation of Islam. They've been infiltrated. And of course, Malcolm X, who once he was no longer a member of the Nation of Islam, Muslim Mosque Incorporated was infiltrated. In fact, one of Malcolm's top bodyguards was an FBI informant. Okay? So let's see, Move, that's another program. They were destroyed. Brother Martin Luther King, he was under surveillance by the federal government. Okay? So once again, white privilege wins again. So with all of that said, how about we flip that, okay? And just think for a second. And just really think. Do we have that? Are all those things included in black privilege? I got Charlemagne the God's book, but I haven't read it yet. But do we have any of those privileges? Because listen, man, to me, those privileges count. Those white privileges I just said, shit, I would love for us to have some of those privileges. Seems to me the only privilege we got is killing each other and misleading each other. You heard me right. Killing each other and misleading each other seems to be the only privilege we have. Nobody seems to give a fuck when one black person kills another black person. Shit, if we're being honest, half the time we don't care. Pause. I'm not saying that there aren't rallies in our neighborhoods. I'm not saying that there aren't rallies, with people being outraged that we're out here killing one another. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying on average, we tend to get a little more bent out of shape when there's a police killing. So, so from the optics test, from what I see is that maybe that's a privilege. It's dumb as fuck, but that's a privilege. One of the privileges we have. We can kill each other and we can mislead each other. Other than that, what privilege do we have? I mean, sure, we can pool all our dollars and pool all our resources together and we can build something of our own. Well, a few things. Number one, we haven't done that. Number two, say we do obtain such things. Say we do obtain unity for once. Unity. And we do pull our resources and all that together. Will that give us any leverage in the courts? How about if we infiltrate? Like the spook who sat by the door. How about if we infiltrate? Become the doctors and lawyers and this, that, and the third, and the prosecutors and congressmen and so forth. How about if we did that? Would that carry any weight? Or is it still futile since we haven't changed the system? How realistic is that? How realistic is it to say that we can change the system? Because at the end of the day, if we know that it's not really the federal government that controls everything, because even they are being controlled. Yeah, we see the Rothschilds and this, that, and the third, but are we sure? Are we really sure? Do we really know who's really running things? I mean, regardless of that, do we really have any black privilege? That's a heavy one, man. Real quick before we get out of here, I'm not going to keep you long. I would like to give a moment of silence for an elder who's just passed on. Sister Toni Morrison. Sister Toni Morrison was a novelist, an essayist, an editor, teacher, retired professor at Princeton University. Her book, The Bluest Eye, was published in 1970. I believe she's got various books. One of them was turned into a movie. It's a movie called Beloved. And she wrote that. She wrote the book. This movie came out a while ago. It starred the likes of Danny Glover, Oprah Winfrey, and a host of others. Sister Toni Morrison, born February 18th, 1931, and she passed on August 5th, 2019. Great writer, great literature. Let's give a moment of silence. Rest easy. Word. Listen, man. I want to leave you with something today. Be good to yourselves. And listen, I always bring up Jesus and Allah, and I make mention of religions and stuff like that. That's what I do, man. That's what I do. I ain't gonna front. Sometimes I'm a little disheartened by religious folk. All the belief they put into something they've never seen. All the faith. And not a lot of them have much faith in themselves. And if we're being honest, we don't have a lot of faith in one another. Well, maybe that's because we don't have any faith in ourselves. And I think the reason why we don't have a lot of faith in ourselves and we're believing in someone else, it's almost like it's a crutch, It's probably a big part of why a lot of us can be codependent. Maybe it's maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the root of it is fear. So religion or people is a crutch. Maybe it's fear of like, wow, you mean this is on me? You mean this is all on me? I'm responsible for me? Because we use terms like Satan, the devil, Lucifer, all of which I don't believe in, not even a little bit. And if there is a devil, it's us. And if there is a God, it's us. I've said it once before, the devil is just a representation of our lower selves, or God is a representation of our higher selves. Oftentimes I hear religious folk, particularly Christians, say things like, the devil's always busy. The devil always busy. Right? Well, sure. Because there's a constant battle with self. An example of that is, have you ever battled with yourself? Man, should I do this? Nah, I ain't gonna do that shit. Nah, fuck that. I'm just gonna let them know how I feel about this shit. Nah. What will it prove? It's a constant battle with self. When most people say that, they don't even know what it means. That's all it is. You're battling with yourself. If you are a person of the cloth, or if you are a person, or just whoever who makes a conscious decision to do something that's not so good, that ain't no devil, man. That's you. Unless you're referring to your lower self. It's you. And see, that's another thing. It's almost like we're afraid of admitting, yeah, I fucked up. Or, yeah, I'm weak. I'm weak and undisciplined. So, we blame it on the devil. The devil is a liar. No, you're a liar. Because ain't nobody doing crap. It's you allowing others in your head. It's us, rather, allowing others to rent property inside our minds. We're doing that. We are doing that. I do it. I just explained it earlier. I do it. See, I'm not coming like I got it all together. I don't. But we allow people space in our heads. We get so caught up in our passion. We don't want people to see that we're flawed. And well, I'm not going to say we don't want people. It's certain flaws we just don't want people to see. Others, we're forthcoming with it. We got no problem revealing them. But, I don't know about y'all, but me, as I found out when the white dude was here, I care what my people think of me. And while I love my people, the only person I need validating me is me. But yeah, I think the root of it is probably fear. Fear of what these people going to think of me. They're going to think, oh, this nigga got a white dude up in here. He's switching up. When first of all, ain't none of them paying my bills. Ain't none of those people in your school, your group, your workplace, whatever. In your church even, in the mosque or wherever, in the temple. They ain't paying your bills. They're not responsible for your well-being. They ain't responsible for your happiness. They're not responsible for your peace either. You understand? It's the fear. Which brings me to this book right here, The 50th Law, written by 50 Cent and Robert Greene. The 50th Law is about fear. It's about fear. And you can tell, not that you can tell, I read the book, of course. It just says straight up, usually books give a summary. You know what I'm saying? They give a summary, what the book is about. It just simply says, fear nothing. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. It's a dope read. So I can't tell you nothing about the 50th law without bringing up the 48 laws. The 48 laws of power, that is. And I may have already shown this book before. Great read. It's also by Robert Greene. Great read. Get your mind right. 48 laws of power. It's a great read. Check it out. If we all should be so lucky, to overcome that fear, of caring what people think, or whatever your fear may be, right? Mine is caring what people thinks. I still got some growth to do. So should we get to the level where we can overcome our fear, right? There's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Okay. Also another great read. I believe one of the best passages in the Art of War. Did I say Art of Law? Meant to say Art of War. Anyway. He who relies solely on warlike measures will be exterminated, and he who relies solely on peaceful measures shall perish. That's very profound. Lots of people interpret that different ways. I interpret that as balance, right? A good general, a good leader, a good warrior, good boss knows when it's time to go in for battle and when it's time to fall back, chill, and be peaceful. You could also decipher that as, picking and choosing your battles. But give that book a read. And also something else I would like to put out, man. Black health matters. Just recently, I was checking my blood pressure about a week ago, and my shit was sky fucking high. I'm not necessarily sure if high blood pressure runs in my family. I just know my grandmother, the late Sister Dolly Sajida Shabazz, she had high blood pressure, right? So my blood pressure was through the roof. So I fell back on my salt intake. I fell back on my salt intake. Well, it wasn't just my salt intake, but I fell back on that. Listen, if you're like me and you got a thing for lemon pepper, chill, man. Because there's actually sodium in it. There's salt in it. So if you're sprinkling lemon pepper on your food and you wonder why it's so salty, it's because there's salt in it. That's what I was thinking, like an idiot. It took me a while, like, wait a minute, let me look at the ingredients, and bam, there's sodium in it. There's that, and I've been a vegetarian for over 2 years now. And see, before I became a vegetarian, when I would hit the treadmill or whatever, when I would run, my shins would hurt real bad. Or when I would like squat and like bend down to pick up something, or squat and sort my magazines or whatever here on the magazine thing. When I would stand up, my knees would ache. So I would take fish oils. Became a vegetarian, and I started hitting the treadmill. And after a while becoming a vegetarian, and my shin stopped hurting. I thought it was a fluke, so I did it again. And from then on, when I run, my shins don't bother me no more. When I squat or bend over or whatever, my knees, they don't bother me no more. So I figured, what do I need fish oils? Besides, I'm a vegetarian, so I want fish oil. But what I didn't realize was that fish oils is also good for heart health. So I'm a vegetarian. I'm trying to not eat anything that's, from fish or whatever. So I started taking flaxseed, which has got the omega-3 and all that stuff in it. That's also good for heart health. Why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing all this up to introduce another book. It's called African Holistic Health, okay, by Layla O. Africa, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. This is also a dope read so far. I'm still not done with it. This was a gift that was given to me by someone who was once real close. Still nothing but love, but dope book. Is also recommended by good brother, the late the late Baba Dick Gregory. You know what I'm saying? May he also rest well. So I'm saying black health matters. Get your blood pressure checked. Yeah, man, get your blood pressure checked. Get your head checked. See a therapist. Get your read on. You know what I'm saying? Get your knowledge up. Go see a doctor. Get your blood pressure checked. Just get a checkup, man. Do yourself a favor, get a checkup. Not everything I'm saying. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what you perceive things to be. Okay? Even though I'm sitting here recommending books and the whole nine, just remember when you do read a book, you're reading something that is according to the author's perspective. See, a lot of these authors, when they do research, they go here and there and, far and wide. They talk to people. And from their findings, from their research, bing bong, they form a perspective. And they write a book according to that perspective. So it's important that we keep that in mind. They could be wrong. They could not be wrong. Just keep in mind that every book that we read is according to the author's perspective. So from here on out, I'm going to make a conscious effort to stop saying I know something unless I was there or I got it from a credible source who was there and they know and I know they legit, so I trust what they say, so I'm going to say I know. But if I'm reading a book about something, even if it's historical fact, I'm going to stop saying I know, because I don't know shit because I wasn't there. At best, all I can say is I know what I read. It's not to take away the validity of research. Just keep that in mind, right? Or unless you can talk to someone, unless you can talk personally to the authors and they can give you some accounts of this, that, and the third, proof of historic facts and this, that, and the third, and you've seen them. You've seen artifacts. You've seen documents in this, that, and the third with your own eyes. You understand? Then, okay, maybe you know. But unless you've done that, all we're doing is just regurgitating things that we read. And that goes for every book. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the book of the Pert Im Heru, otherwise known as the Book of the Dead, coming forth. Listen, unless you was there, unless we was there, none of us know. So how about we carry that perspective and go a little easier on each other? How about religious folks stop beating people over the head with your Quran and your Bible and this, that, and the third when you don't even know the origin of where the shit comes from? And how about us woke folk, or whatever you want to call us, take it easy because we don't know any more than they do. We just read some different books. We don't know anything because we wasn't there. Deal? I love y'all, man. Y'all take care of yourselves. You know what I'm saying? I'm King Rashidi. And this is Hoodies, man. Peace.
Hello.
To the podcast. What am I talking about? Who?
Always the forefront. This King Rashidi, hoodies.
I'm ready. God God, Queens.
Hello. Hello.